going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a vinyl haul showcasing all of the records that I acquired within the month of February this year in 2022. We have a lot to get through in this video. We have some Vinyl Me Please and Newbury Comics exclusive pressings, some Frank Zappa, some Paul McCartney, Alice Cooper, Peter Criss, and much more. It is about to go deep, so without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy the latest finds. Alright guys, so we are going to be kicking this haul off with a rather eclectic selection of records. This is all stuff that has been building up for the past week or so, and I've just been waiting for a bit of a slow period to where I can finally showcase these because, you know, today no mail came and I didn't come home with anything. So I finally have a second to film a clip. So the first record I'm going to show you is something that kind of harks back to my previous monthly haul video where I said that I am a bit of a completist in terms of what else exists out there. What exactly am I talking about? Talking about the Beatles at the Budokan Act 2, July 1st, 1966. I already have the first show in my collection, and I was blown away with the quality of it in terms of just the sound quality of the recording. It's very nicely done. It's basically more or less a soundboard type of recording, and also just thick, tip-on style jackets. The presentation is very nice. But what's kind of significant about this show is that it's much better performance-wise, because the first show kind of stands out as being the sort of sloppy, just kind of rough and ready, you know, type of performance. And I guess basically after that first show, the Fab Four kind of got their act together, and this is a far better performance. But I felt the need to have both, basically. And plus, I mean, in terms of live documents, you know, from just their last, you know, year of actively touring, you know, it's something cool to have historically. And also their sole Japanese tour. So it's a cool release to own. Same set list as the first show, but it's still awesome to own. And inside we have a little kind of replica ticket with some liner notes in Japanese. This is also from Japan as well. And comes pressed on red vinyl, which is very nice, and very happy to get my hands on the second of the Budokan Beatles shows that exist out there, and definitely excited to see how the performance is on this one overall. And then we're going to be taking a trip over to the BBC in England with one of the godfathers of hard rock, and that is Deep Purple. So these two releases, we have BBC Sessions 68 to 69, which features the Mark I and early Mark II era, and then we have basically the entire Mark II era with 69 to 1970. And just to kind of point out some of the tracks on here, you know, you have things such as Hush, their cover of the Beatles' Help, which is fantastic, Emeretta, they do covers of Hey Joe, Bird Has Flown, Speed King, and then on the other one, we have things such as Hard Lovin' Man, Bloodsucker. So it kind of just goes from, you know, total covers into just the complete hard rock territory that they would be best known for. And these are like legal bootleg type releases. The BBC stuff has been released officially, but now it's kind of gotten into this public domain realm where it's kind of just available anywhere. The records themselves came in those sort of PVC picture disc sleeves. So what I went ahead and did was place them in these kind of standard plain white jackets. And they came with these kind of obi strips, so I just kind of wrap them around the covers. And the I must say, the vinyl for the 68 to 69 one is absolutely beautiful. Check this out. This comes on sort of, I guess you could say, purple and black sandwich color vinyl. It's so hard to describe this, but it is absolutely stunning. Very nice indeed, and also fitting because, you know, purple, Deep Purple. If there's going to be any color vinyl that is suitable for that band, it must be purple. So there's that. And then I'll also showcase the 69 to 71. Nothing too exciting. Same deal. I put it in a basic white jacket with the OB kind of around the edge. And this comes pressed on sort of, I guess it's like a pastel pink type of vinyl, which is very nice. So very happy to have, I guess, more or less the complete BBC sessions of Deep Purple, because I know that there's also that BBC radio show from '72, which was properly released officially, And then there's all this. Now, I don't know if perhaps there's any plans to release the early BBC stuff officially, but until then, these bootlegs are rather cool to own, just to simply have them, because I do enjoy me some Deep Purple, so very happy to have these. And then something else to hark back to from my previous haul. If you saw, I picked up the Margo Guryan record, Take a Picture, and I absolutely loved that album. Just a great piece of late 60s sunshine pop. But that is the only album that she had released. And there was also another release that came out first on CD, and then it got a vinyl pressing much later on. And that is the form of 29 demos. And this is basically a 2 LP set of just various demos that Margo had done throughout the 60s. Rather nice companion piece to sit alongside Take a Picture. It does feature some songs that appear on the record, as well as just other songs that she had worked on at the time. And what I love about this is that it does have kind of brief little anecdotes from Margo herself with some lyrics, very nice photos, and there's even some liner notes on the backside here. And just to showcase one of the records, this comes pressed on the Modern Harmonic reissue label. They put out some relatively good stuff. I have a couple of reissues that they did of the Runaways, and those were fantastic. And this comes pressed on sort of golden colored vinyl, translucent vinyl, I should say, which looks absolutely beautiful. And also, fun fact, this was pressed over at Third Man Pressing, so it's cool to see the Jack White world tie in with the Margo Guryan world. But no, very happy to dig into the 29 demos release. And here is a bit of an impulse release. Now, I will say this. I did own this pressing before in my collection, and then I ended up trading it in to get a box set, and I ended up buying the pressing again. And coincidentally, and this is how it all kind of ties in full circle, I remember I got this particular pressing first at the record store that I now manage. Roughly, I want to say this is going back 7 years ago. My good friend Angel had bought me a copy of it, and then I ended up getting, like I said, the box set, and then I felt the need to pick it up again, and I'll just explain my reasons why. And you'll also see the album that I'm talking about, because you're probably wondering, what are you talking about? It is the self-titled debut from Queen, and this is one of my favorite Queen records, hands down. I just love that early, 70s stuff. I grew up listening to this album as a kid, Keep Yourself Alive, Doing All Right, Great King Rat, My Fairy King, Liar, fantastic track, Son and Daughter, Jesus. This is all fantastic stuff. Now, this pressing here is the Hollywood's records pressing that they did back in, I want to say roughly around 2008, 2009. And then I ultimately got the Studio Collection box set. So this pressing here, like I said, I previously owned, I brought into my local record store. And then I decided to pick it up again, mainly because for a number of reasons. First off, if you look at the UK cover, which is kind of the standard, it's a much larger photo of the front cover here, and it's also more so in purple, whereas this, for the American version, they kind of cropped it a little bit. And also, just as a nice design touch, they have the original Queen logo in gold, and there's even the crest logo in gold as well. And also just, minor, minutia aspect of these Hollywood pressings. These have been superseded by the half-speed masters that were done for the box set, and they are available individually. But these Hollywood pressings are still relatively available and for dirt cheap as well. But what's also kind of interesting, I'll just showcase them here. Custom center label with the Hollywoods. I kind of touched on these when I did my Queen Studio Collection box set unboxing and review, is that there are some pressings out there of the Hollywood pressings that say Hollywood on the jackets, but the records themselves are on the half Speedmasters. So it seems like they're kind of swapping out, pressing plates and whatnot and just adding new catalog numbers. It's interesting, but basically compared to what I have already, I have the half speed box set, and this is the unique, 2009 cut, which to my ears from when I played it, it sounded relatively decent. I mean, this is such an amazing album that regardless of what the pressing sounds like, I know I'm going to rock out to it. So I'm glad to have an extra copy of Queen's first album in my collection. And then we get to some posthumous Christmas gifts. So the record spinnerette, my best friend Chelsea, you've seen her before on the channel. After many weeks of just being busy with work and dealing with things at home, we finally got together for the first time in a while, and we did a Christmas gift swap. And of course, we gifted each other with the gift of vinyl, if you saw my social media post. And I'm going to show you guys what she got me for Christmas. And let's just say, when I was opening up everything, she said, I got you some things that Chelsea likes. And sure enough, she sure did. But also, I had asked for some of these things. And for this part of the haul, don't judge. Just because I showcase all the hard rock, cool stuff, don't be down on this. So we have some Taylor Swift. And I grew up, having been subjected to Taylor Swift's music when I was in high school. Always thought she was relatively talented. The Folklore album from 2020 completely sold me. And now she is in the process of re-recording her catalog just because she doesn't own the rights to it. Whole backstory. But lately she has been pumping out these kind of Taylor's version of her, older albums. And they're just complete re-recordings. That way she owns them, which is smart. And this album here, this is the album Red, and this is a monster release. This is 4 LPs, plays at 45 RPM. Just right off the bat, in terms of looking on here, what are some of the, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together was like the big notable hit that I remember, and the one that everyone's going on about is the song All Too Well, the 10-minute version. Everyone's been going crazy over it, so excited to dig into it. And I'm not going to showcase everything, but just to kind of give you a general consensus of, the packaging. I mean, this is beautifully put together, I will say. You have all these old photos of Taylor and all the lyrics to all the songs, which is a nice touch. And this right here is the Target exclusive pressing. And it comes pressed on red vinyl. And just considering the Target color scheme, it seems like a fitting color indeed. So we have that, and then the other Taylor Swift record that she got me is the Lover album. And on this one, right off the bat, there's the song Me, which features Brendan Urie of Panic at the Disco. You Need to Calm Down was another single off of this. I remember Chelsea and we watched a documentary on Netflix about Taylor Swift, and it was kind of centered around the making of this album and the touring cycle, and I was kind of intrigued with it, and she kept saying that Lover was an album that she thought that I would probably like, so it's finally in the collection. The packaging on this is absolutely gorgeous, and just to showcase it all because it is worth showcasing, as you can tell by the color scheme of the album, they chose some very wise colors to press this up. So we have, once again, pastel pink, just like the Deep Purple record. And then the second LP, it comes pressed on this sort of kind of light blue, which is very nice and just absolutely fitting indeed. And the other record that Chelsea hooked me up with is another artist that she is really big on. She just released an album this past year. I listened to a couple tracks off of it with her, and I enjoyed what I heard, but it's thanks to Chelsea that she pushed to get this album in my collection, and this is one that I actually specifically asked for, and that is Kacey Musgraves' Star-Crossed. Kacey Musgraves is kind of in the sort of country realm, but is kind of making the crossover into more poppier territory. A very personal record, just about, divorce, lost love, and whatnot. And really enjoyed what I heard off of this. And I'm excited to dig into the full-length album. This is, once again, another Target exclusive pressing. Opens up, kind of reminds me of the Brain Salad Surgery ELP cover, where it opens up just like this. And we have various bits and pieces inside. So first off, we have this exclusive art print which comes with the album. with every Target pressing. And then we have this insert here with various credits and such. Very nice sort of starbursty type of inner sleeve. And this pressing comes pressed on orange vinyl, which is absolutely gorgeous. So thank you very much, Chelsea, for these such generous Christmas gifts. I have a lot of listening to do just between what she got me and then everything else that I've showed you so far. I'll be occupied for a while. But that is also not it, because when we did our gift swap, we grabbed dinner and we also stopped at Target. And it's funny, I did not catch this record in the stands. She did, and luckily there was multiple copies there, because we were kind of on a shopping binge where we were like, you know what, let's at least, let's leave with something. And she saw this, and I caught, my eye caught it, and it was just kind of that thing where it was like, we need to get this. And these are two artists that mean so much to Chelsea and I. I'll just explain why. We both picked up a copy of Carole King and James Taylor live at the Troubadour. It's really thanks to her that she got me more subjected to these artists. Not that I don't like, some of the more softer types of rock and singer-songwriter type stuff. It's stuff that I do genuinely enjoy, but they hold more of a special place in my heart thanks to Chels. One of our favorite songs that we enjoy listening to together is James Taylor's Fire and Rain. And then if you remember from one of the times that she appeared on my channel, we both picked up copies of Tapestry by Carole King. So it's nice that these two, while they coexist together, they also mean something to me and Chelsea's friendship. So us getting this live album is truly a very nice thing. And I also always say that, I'm James Taylor, she's Carole King, just as like a funny inside joke. But this live release is cool. This is live at the Troubadour, infamous venue in Los Angeles, back in November of 2007. And it basically features tracks by the both of them, played, by each other. So on this, you have things such as So Far Away, Carolina in My Mind, It's Too Late. What else is on here? Fire and Rain, of course, Sweet Baby James, Felt the Earth Move. So if you're into, early Carole King and James Taylor and you like them together, this album is great. But this is an absolutely gorgeous package. Nice gatefold sleeve featuring the two of them. And then inside, we have a nice insert. Opens up like that. Various vintage photos. And then there's also a poster as well. Let's see if I can dig it out. There it is. Very cool design poster as well. Kind of has a cool vintage kind of look to it. Features the both of them. And wait till you check out the vinyl. And literally, like, when I pulled it out of the jacket, I was like, holy crap, this looks pretty cool. First off, before I showcase the vinyl, just take it out carefully. Pressed at quality record pressings. A very nice touch. Check this out. This comes pressed on metallic gold colored vinyl. So overall, it just has, like, when you look at it in this angle, it has a cool kind of gold ripple effect to it. And then, like, when you hold it up to the light, it kind of looks almost like a tannish hue with some, like, various swirls of, like, dark gold. It's interesting, but just the way that it looks, depending on the angle that you look at it in, it is an absolutely eye-catching record indeed. And basically, it's the same, on the other LP as well. And also, this was mastered by Bernie Grundman, so I'm sure this is going to be an absolutely wonderful sounding pressing, and cool to get some more Carole King and James Taylor in my collection with Live at the Troubadour. All right, guys, so here is a Third Man Records vault package that came out some time ago. Has kind of been on my horizons to get my hands on, but not necessarily on the high priority list. I actually got this from a member of the Third Man Collectors Facebook group who was selling a bunch of vault packages, and he had this one up for a relatively good price, and actually ended up getting more bang for the buck, as I will explain in a little bit. So I bought Margo Price Live 2016. This package is devoted all to Margo Price. She did her first two albums on the Third Man label. Great modern kind of country Americana artist. And we have a 2 LP live album here, which is recorded at the Hamilton in Washington, D.C. And it comes in like a nice slipcase. And of course, since it's called the Hamilton, there's George himself. So here is the track list for the show, and I'll just briefly showcase the vinyl. So the first LP comes on sort of Coke bottle clear vinyl, and then the other LP comes pressed on white vinyl. And then there is also a DVD of her performance at the Austin City Limits. And then there's also a Blue Room Sessions 7-inch, which does indeed come pressed on blue vinyl. Now, the vault was incomplete because it was missing a challenge coin and something else. Now, personally, for me, when it comes to Third Man vaults, it's all about the vinyl as well as like the DVDs and such that are included. That's the stuff of interest for me, like the pins and the flags and the shirt, you know, whatever, the extra stuff like that that's not music related, I can do without. And the guy felt very bad about it, so he gave me a partial refund, and he also sent me an added bonus, and it is of a record by this band called Radkey. This is called Green Room. Kind of like a garage punkish band consisting of three brothers. These guys have kind of made their name most known. I believe they opened for the Foo Fighters fairly recently. So they're just kind of making the rounds. And I personally have not listened to this band before. And after doing some reading on them, I am definitely intrigued and excited to dig into their work. And the color of the vinyl of this pressing is absolutely gorgeous. Check this out. This comes pressed on sort of marbled green vinyl. It is absolutely eye-catching, and definitely excited to sink my teeth into this album and this relatively new band that I just now have a means to dig into. And then up next, we have a little dose of brown acid. We have right here the third trip and the 11th trip. Now, these were actually purchased from a record store out in Los Angeles called Permanent Records. And the guy that runs the shop by the name of Lance Baresi, he also has a hand in putting together these brown acid compilations. So getting these from the shop, from the guy that, you know, basically has a hand in it, just makes it even more authentic. And the guy was selling these on his Instagram page, still like in the shrink, but in like perfect condition. So like they must have been used copies, but for $15 a pop, I really could not miss the opportunity. So the third trip comes pressed on yellow vinyl, and then the 11th trip comes pressed on sort of marbled gray vinyl, which is very cool. And with this said, my brown acid collection is almost complete. All that I need is the recently released 13th trip, and I am all set in terms of my brown acid. So I'm getting closer and closer. And up next is basically a live album that I am now kind of beefing up my collection of. Because like I said prior, I already have all of their studio albums, and now I'm just kind of seeking out bootlegs and whatever other small things I'm currently missing. And the band I'm talking about is AC/DC, live at River Plate. This is a 3 LP live album of them performing at the River Plate Stadium in Buenos Aires during the Black Ice Tour. Can't go wrong with the set list, you know, Rock and Roll Train, Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, Back in Black, Big Jack, Shot Down in Flames, Thunderstruck, The Jack, Hell's Bell, Shoot the Thrill, Let There Be Rock. You really can't go wrong when it comes to live AC/DC. And also just look at the size of that stadium. That is absolutely stunning. 3 LP set, nice printed inner sleeves, track lists and whatnot, very cool photos. And it comes pressed. I'll just take out one of the LPs so you can see. Comes pressed on red vinyl. So very happy to get my hands on this. I actually remember quite vividly when this first came out. I remember it was in November of 2012. It was when I just started to become a really big AC/DC fan. And I remember I picked it up the evening of the day that it came out. And Absolutely had a blast listening to it. And it's also on DVD as well. It's a fantastic live concert film. So very happy to have this. And then here is a record that I purchased off of my good friend Marikan over at Marikan Lehman Craddock. She is a part of the youngest members of the VC group that I am a part of amongst other of our vinyl community friends. And she was thinning out her collection. And of course, the youngest members tend to get dibs on stuff that she is, you know, kind of weeding out of her collection. And I saw this, and she gave me a very sweet deal on it. And it is actually a band that I don't have any records of, but I'm so intrigued with, and there's a lot of, you know, backstory and history behind. And I am talking about the Hollywood Vampires. Now, this is their second album, Rise. They also did a first album, which I don't have on vinyl yet. My dad has it on CD. But basically, the Hollywood Vampires was this drinking group from back in the 70s. Alice Cooper was in it, Mickey Dolenz, Harry Nilsson, and just Keith Moon, and like a bunch of others. And decades later, it turned into a band. So the core of the band is Alice Cooper, Joe Perry, Johnny Depp, as well as Tommy Henriksen. And on this album, they do a version of Heroes, and they do a bunch of other originals as well. So I am quite excited to dig into this. Here is the gatefold there. And this sort of comes pressed on sort of, I guess you could say, milky clear colored vinyl, as you can see there, which is quite unique. Definitely excited to give this album a spin and check it out for myself. And now we get into some Ghost territory. Now, Ghost is making the buzz right now because they are releasing a new album in March, and I am so stoked for it. And I'm also seeing them very, very soon in Camden, basically in February this month. And they have dropped a new single, not recently. It came out in, I want to say, around the tail end of this past year, but they finally dropped a vinyl version of it. And that is for the single Hunter's Moon, which was featured in the Halloween Kills movie. And this 7-inch here was exclusive to the Loma Vista website. Loma Vista is their label. And on the A side, we have Hunter's Moon. And then on the B side, we have the film version of Hunter's Moon, which is kind of a bit more of a subdued version of it. You know, the A side is really where it's at. But so cool to have it. And it comes pressed on sort of Halloween orange colored vinyl with a nice Loma Vista label there, which is very cool. And then keeping it in the Ghost territory, I also have a very cool upgrade for my Ghost collection, because when it comes to Ghost and vinyl, they are a fun band to collect, and there are a bunch of different colored vinyl pressings of their catalog and their albums out there. So I'm kind of making it a point to have some unique pressings of their records in my collection and kind of steering clear from the standard black pressings that I may have owned in the past. So I parted ways with my black vinyl copy of Meliora. This is their third album. This one features From the Pinnacle to the Pit, Cerise, Mummy Dust, Absolution. Fantastic record. And I got my hands on the Newbury Comics pressing, which I believe is limited to, how many copies is it? Limited to 1,000 copies. And just to showcase everything, it does come with a nice booklet, just like my old copy did, with illustrations for each of the songs. Nice band photo. And then the record itself, nice printed inner with lyrics and a band photo. Does come pressed on sort of, I guess you could say, seafoam green vinyl. It's kind of like a Coke bottle-ish hue to it. So I do have a cool collectible variant, and also very suiting upgrade for my Ghost collection. And then keeping it in line with upgrades, I also got this upgrade as well. This is something kind of like in the same vein as Ghost. This is one of my favorite bands. It's a band that I love, and it's a band that's also very collectible when it comes to colored vinyl. And also, the core of it is the reason why I got into collecting vinyl in the first place. What band am I talking about? talking about the White Stripes. This is their second album, Distill. This pressing came out in 2020 as part of the Vinyl Me Please subscription service. This is part of their Essentials series, and they did a very gorgeous job with this reissue. Of course, comes with the Obi, and just for the sake of showcasing it, it does have some liner notes there, as well as a cocktail recipe for Death Letter, which is one of the songs featured on the album. And as you can see on the jacket, first off, nice thick tip-on style jacket. They kind of have this sort of red foil look to the red squares featured on the cover. And that is a very nice touch indeed. There's the back cover, and as you can see, there's the red foil Vinyl Me Please logo. And just to showcase everything, I mean, when it comes to Vinyl Me Please, they do such a phenomenal job when it comes to their releases. They give you a nice custom art insert, which is very cool. This is a graphic rendition of Jack White's Triple Tremolo amplifier, which is cool. You'll see it featured in the booklet that I'm going to show you now. And this is also a reformatted booklet, I should say, because the other pressing that I had from roughly 2010 just basically was the CD booklet just kind of spread across an insert. But here we have an actual booklet that has been reformatted, which looks absolutely awesome. And there you go. There's a Jack's amp that you can see that was featured on the art print. So we have that, but wait till you see the color of the vinyl. Check this out. This comes pressed on red vinyl with black splatter, which is very cool. And also this was pressed at Third Man Pressing, so it's all kind of tied in. And like I've said a million times before, Jack White is the reason why I got into vinyl collecting. And just given the collectability of Jack White, Third Man related type stuff, I felt that getting my hands on this Vinyl Me Please pressing of Distill was a very well-suited upgrade. All right, so here are some Alice Cooper legal bootlegs that I got my hands on recently. We have Alone in His Nightmare Live 1975 and Inside Out Live 1979. So we'll talk about this one here first. This was recorded at the Forum in Los Angeles during the Welcome to My Nightmare tour. Has a major emphasis of stuff from that album, such as Some Folks, Cold Ethel, The Black Widow, Department of Youth, and Only Women Bleed. Welcome to My Nightmare is one of my favorite Alice Cooper records, so it's cool to see a lot of that material represented here on this release. And then for Inside Out Live 1979, this was a show recorded for the King Biscuit Flower Hour, and this is from the tour in support of the album From the Inside. And of course, just like the Nightmare one, we have a lot of stuff from that record here, such as the title track, Nurse Rosetta, Quiet Room, How You Gonna See Me Now, which is one of my favorite Alice Cooper ballads. And then, of course, between the both of these, we have the hits kind of sprinkled in. We have I'm 18, Billion Dollar Babies, No More Mr. Nice Guy, School's Out, things of that sort. So very happy to have these two Alice Cooper legal bootlegs in my collection. And then we have a Record Store Day release from several years past. And this is always one that's been on my radar. And I feel like I've said this so many times. You know, I'm aware of it and I want to get it, but it's just not high on the priority list. So I got my hands on a Record Store Day release by The Doors. So this is the Ghost Song release, which features the track from the American Prayer album on one side. And then on the flip side, we have a song called Drums by Peter Lafarge, and John Densmore is involved in this track. So it's kind of in sync with Doors related, you know, type stuff. This was limited to 8,000 copies. This is copy number 4,059, and I believe the proceeds for this release went to the Honor the Treaties fund. I believe this is actually what the title of the release is. It's, you know, The Doors and Peter Lafarge Honor the Treaties. So that's exactly what entails with this. And just because it's a Doors piece, and when it comes to Doors vinyl, it's so fun to collect their stuff because they always take part in Record Store Day. There's always cool variants of releases and such out there. So very happy to get my hands on this small missing piece in my Doors collection. And then we go down the compilation route with a record that I actually ordered for the record store that I work at. And it just really caught my eye, and got me, wanting to kind of dig deeper into this particular comp without really having heard any material that is on it. And it is called Girls with Guitars Take Over. So this is a compilation of just various, girl groups from the 1960s, that play their own instruments and such. And it's a solid, 12-track type compilation. You have various 7-inch center labels here, which is basically what this stuff all basically comes from. And we have some liner notes as well for each individual artist / track with some photos, which is pretty cool. And this is also pressed on really nice red vinyl. So really excited to sink my teeth into this particular release. And then going once again in the legal bootleg route, we have something Pink Floyd related. And that is David Gilmour live at the Pennsylvania University on July 12th, 1984. So this is from the About Face era in the 80s after, Pink Floyd, aka Roger Waters, was doing the final cut. He went off and did his own thing. And on this, we have things such as Until We Sleep, All Lovers Are Deranged, You Know I'm Right. And then, of course, he sprinkles in a couple of Floyd tunes such as Comfortably Numb, Money, and Run Like Hell. In terms of early David Gilmour solo stuff, I don't have those albums, shockingly, and I really need them for my collection. I'm kind of hoping that they get a reissue at some point. But when I saw this bootleg pop up, I figured this would be a nice little piece to own just to represent some early Gilmour solo stuff until I can get my hands on the other 2 albums that he did between the 70s and the 80s. So happy to have this. And then here is a relatively new acquisition that I'm really excited to dig into. My coworker / friend John had brought this in from his collection to bring into the store, and I was intrigued with it because I had heard a little bit about this band, and I figured this would be something new for me to kind of dig into just on a whim. This is a band called Electric Wizard, very much in the kind of doom stoner metal type genre. This is their album called Black Masses. So overall, just the vibe of this band in terms of the genre that they find themselves in and just the overall sort of occult imagery type of vibe that they have, it's definitely up my alley. And I am definitely excited to check out this band and give this album a listen. And just for the sake of showcasing everything, first off, we have, printed inner sleeves of various imagery that I'm only showing briefly on camera. And this pressing comes pressed on a very nice piece of yellow vinyl. It's a 2 LP set, so it's basically the same kind of across the board. And definitely excited to dig into Electric Wizard Black Masses. Alright guys, so it is that part of the haul where I showcase a bunch of albums by this particular band that I've been talking about non-stop these past several months. I name-checked them in my last monthly haul video, and if you're wondering who I am talking about Of Montreal, and I just got a bunch of albums of theirs for my collection, but I still have some ways to go in terms of completing my Of Montreal collection. So this album here is called The False Priest. This came out back in 2010. And one of the cool things about Of Montreal is that they really sort of adapt themselves into any genre that they want to pursue, but yet they still remain true to their sort of psychedelic pop type roots, very strong in melodies and chord sequences, but they just kind of morph into, adapting to different styles. So, like I said, this is their sort of R&B type album. I'm definitely intrigued with how it's going to sound. And as always, when it comes to their artwork, it has been done by David Barnes. Now, David Barnes is the brother of Kevin Barnes, who is the sort of mastermind brainchild behind Of Montreal. And we also have a very eye-catching booklet here with various bits of psychedelic artwork, which is just absolutely insane. Something that you can kind of flip throughout. Absolutely insane stuff. And then next up we have 2012's Paralytic Stalks. This is their avant-garde album, and according to Kevin Barnes, it is perhaps his most personal record. And, you know, one of the interesting things about Kevin Barnes' artistry is that, you know, the early of Montreal stuff was very sort of whimsical, fairy tale, and then he started shifting towards more realistic type of themes and ideas. So, you know, he's a very personal guy when it comes to his work with Of Montreal. So I'm definitely intrigued with this album. And also, like, the arrangements musically, they just shift entirely. So it's a total, like, assault on the senses type of thing. And here's the gatefold sleeve. And in the middle there is the alter ego that Kevin created called Georgie Fruit, which has kind of been, I guess you could say that character has been killed off for various reasons, but that's a whole other thing. I'm telling you, for as much as I talk about Of Montreal, do you guys want to see a video in the future of me kind of digging into their discography and explaining everything? Because seriously, just explaining them briefly in these hauls will not do it justice whatsoever. And then inside here, we have a nice open-up insert with various cool bits of artwork. And this pressing, now we get into color territory, comes pressed on yellow vinyl with some rather cool custom center labels, which is very cool. And then flash forward 4 years, because I have the 2 albums that came out in between 2012 to 2016. We have 2016's Innocence Reaches, and this is when they start kind of doing some more kind of EDM, electronic type of, you know, sounds and whatnot, but still retaining a bit of a cool kind of rock edge to their sound. I love the artwork on this. It is just, it pops out immediately with just like the polka dot hair and the very elaborate colors. It is just, like I said, total assault on the senses. And then here's the gatefold, which is rather cool. And inside here, we have a fold-out poster, which is very nice, very colorful, pops out well against the black background. You can hang this up on your music room wall, your bedroom wall, wherever you want to put it. And this is a 2 LP set that's cut at 45 RPM, and it comes pressed on this sort of marbled baby blue vinyl. So we got some bits of white in there, which is pretty cool, and some interesting center labels as well. And then we have, this is the last record that I'll show in this brief bit of the haul. This is 2020's You're Fun, and this, as of right now, is the latest Of Montreal album to be seen on vinyl, because there was another record that Kevin did called I Feel Safe With You Trash, which has not seen a vinyl release. It's been solely streaming. Don't know if there's ever going to be a vinyl press of that, but as of right now, this is the latest one that's on vinyl. And on this record, he's joined forces with his girlfriend, Christina, who appears on the album cover. And marks a very kind of personable type of album, just in terms of the artwork alone. Not as, I guess, artsy as the various other albums that have come out before this one. And then here is the gatefold. And to somewhat match the color scheme of the album, it comes pressed on red vinyl. And also, I love the kind of red and white checkerboard design on the center label. I just think that's a very aesthetically pleasing touch. So, very happy to have gotten my hands on all these Of Montreal records. And like I said, I still have some ways to go to complete their discography on vinyl for my collection, but I am slowly getting there, slowly but surely. So yes, my luscious locks have been cut. So consider this clip a bit of an addition to the Sky Valley video that I did with my coworkers slash friends, John and Patrick. After we went to Sky Valley, we still had some time to kill in the day, so we went to another record store, which was kind of right around the same area, which is Tunes in Voorhees. And we figured we would check it out, and we went to the new arrivals section. And I was kind of doing some browsing, and I swear I saw this, and I looked into it, and I kind of had to do a double take just to make sure I was seeing what I was seeing. And needless to say, I got this pressing of this album for literally nothing. So I found this copy a Black Sabbath Volume 4. This is the 2011 Rhino pressing. That is an all-analog cut done by Criss pressed at RTI. This is a phenomenal reissue. Tip-on style jacket. It replicates the photo insert inside, green Warner Brother labels, and this sounds spectacular. Now, I had this pressing in my collection for the longest time, and I ended up trading it in so I could get the box set, which came out fairly recently. And since then, I've been kind of kicking myself because I kind of missed having this pressing. Just, you know, and the fact that it replicates the original artwork, and it sounds great alone. I mean, the box set, the version that's in the box set is great. I just really was itching to get this. And it's a pressing that obviously right now is out of print, and goes for roughly $50 to $60 on average. This pressing was in the new arrival section, like I said. There was a little sticky note that said that it was a reissue, and it skipped. And I looked at the vinyl, definitely could have benefited from a cleaning, but after cleaning it, it played absolutely perfect. Maybe with the exception of one minor skip, but I feel like it varies on the turntable and which cartridge you use. I paid $8 for this. That's right, $8. And I just stated how much this pressing normally goes for roughly 50 to 60 bucks on average. So to get this for literally nothing was well worth exploring tunes alone. So I was so stoked to get this. And then I saw this album in the bins, and it was literally one of those cases where I saw it and I'm like, oh shit. Like, I knew I had to get it because I had been wanting this album for a very long time. And this is something to further augment my Frank Zappa collection, and that is Freak Out by the Mothers of Invention. This is Zappa's / the Mothers' first album, and on this, gosh, what tracks are on here? You have Motherly Love, Trouble Every Day, Help I'm a Rock. Just great tunes on here. I've been really digging deeper into the whole Mother's discography. Particularly the Mother Mania compilation is what really kind of opened me up to the Mother's stuff in general. So I am so intrigued to get this. Definitely one of the best kind of experimental psychedelic rock albums to come from the late 60s. Gatefold sleeve as always. And it even has the insert of the Freak Out hotspots, which is very cool. And of course, I mean, all the Zappa stuff in terms of the reissues are done beautifully. The estate looks over everything. They use the best sources possible, whether it's analog or a digital source. They all come with these kind of nice, up-to-date custom center labels as well. So not necessarily authentic to the original, but it is a very nice touch. And just so super stoked that I was able to find this copy of Freak Out, because this pressing, I believe, came out back in, I want to say 2013, I want to say roughly around there. This is out of print as well, and they actually had it for a very good price, pretty much the retail value alone. You would think that, you know, some shops would kind of base it accordingly to what the marketplace is like, but nonetheless, so stoked to have this in the collection. And as you saw in the video, I did pick up the Paul McCartney Wildlife half-speed cut that has just come out recently. I kind of got the fever to get whatever I was missing as part of the half-speed series, because I did upgrade my copy of McCartney, the first solo album, and then now that I got Wildlife, of course, there's a gap right there. And granted, I did have the album in my collection. I decided to bring it into my store, which was actually, it's funny enough, I bought it there, and now it's coming back, and I decided to forego the half-speed pressing of McCartney's Ram. This is such a great record. This is an album that I'm growing to love more and more and more with each listen. It's funny because when I got it at the store, I want to say a couple years back, you know, that was like my introduction to Ram. And then just listening to it, you know, more and more, you know, wrapping my head around it. It's an absolutely solid record. It's probably, it could be seen as the first like indie record. Some people see it in that light, and I can totally see that 100%. And as always, comes with the Obi type strip that comes out just like this. You have the album artwork, opens up like that, and inside you get this little postcard, which has a brief bit by Miles Showell, who does most of the Abbey Road half-speed cuts. And then, of course, to showcase the vinyl, this time around, because the McCartney reissues that have been kind of coming out, they kind of modify the center labels a bit, and they do something unique and different and special. But in this case, they replicate the Apple label, so which is very nice, which is what the original was intended. So definitely, I see myself getting more of these McCartney half-speed cuts as they come out, because I just based off of like how the center, not the center label, the Obi strips are designed, it looks like it's going to be a series where they're going to do perhaps the entire catalog, and if that's the case, I definitely will be snagging them up. Alright guys, so here are two reissues that I am super stoked to see finally get re-released. Kind of got pushed back a little bit due to some manufacturing delays, but nonetheless, they are finally here. It is the original drummer of my favorite band of all time, and that is the original Catman himself, Peter Criss. And what we have here are his two solo albums, Out of Control and Let Me Rock You. This came out back in 1980. This came out back in 1982. This is the first time that these albums have ever been reissued on vinyl. And what's pretty cool to note is that the label that put these out in conjunction with Universal is a label called the Rockologists. And the Rockologists is run by a guy by the name of Tom Shannon. And Tom actually had a hand in some of the Kiss vinyl reissues from 2014 in terms of high-res scans from his personal collection and things of that sort, since there's no, artwork vaults that are out there that have all everything. So they used his collection primarily for, those reissues, which is quite interesting. So it's kind of cool to see that connection still with the Peter Criss reissues. And, of course, as you can see, all aspects of the original artwork are faithfully replicated, and there are several different colored variants made available of these albums, but to stick true to the Catman's, faithful color, I got my pressings on green vinyl. And as you can see, they come on the Casablanca Record and Filmworks label, and there you can see the Rockologist logo on the bottom of the center label. And just for the sake of showcasing everything, I'll also showcase Let Me Rock You. And also, fun fact, because I'm a Jack White nut, these were also pressed at Third Man Pressing in Detroit. So that is a pretty cool kind of Kiss, Jack White type connection there. Very minor, since there's so much product that gets pressed up there. But nonetheless, very cool to see that. And also just great to see these albums get reissued. I am going to be honest, I have never listened to these albums before in my life. I more or less bought these on impulse because it's Peter Criss. He's, like I said, the original drummer of my favorite band. So I kind of felt that it was a necessity to have these albums in my collection. And plus I figured, this gives me a prime opportunity to dig into these albums. And I say that already knowing that I do have a sealed original pressing of this, which was given to me by my good friend Emma over at 8 Vinyl Low. She gave it to me as a Christmas gift, and I am still getting so much joy just looking at it sealed, which is just, it's a cool collectible piece. And just definitely am excited to dig into these two albums. Super stoked to have them. Peter Criss, Out of Control, and Let Me Rock You. Alright, so as you may have seen recently, I went to the Ghost, Volbeat, and Twin Temple show in Camden. Absolutely phenomenal night. I was mainly there for Ghost since they're one of my favorite bands. They put on such a fantastic show. New albums coming next month, and I'm so excited for it. Volbeat was great. I had seen them a couple times in the past. It had been a long time since I really listened to them, and I was really impressed with their set, and I have to seek out some vinyl pressings of their work. And then Twin Temple, I'm going to talk about them in a second. But when it comes to me going to shows now these days, I always try to get my hands on vinyl because, it's a great long-lasting momentum and it won't fade away like the $40 t-shirts that one may purchase. And I say that hypocritically because I am wearing a shirt that I bought at the show. So I saw what was being sold on this tour, and there was one vinyl product that I really wanted to get my hands on. And needless to say, my dad and I were at the doors very early in the day for us to get in as early as possible. We made a beeline for the merch booth, and we got what we wanted. So The vinyl pressing that I'm talking about is this right here. This is a split 7-inch featuring Ghost and Volbeat, and it basically features them doing covers of songs off of Metallica's Black Album. Ghost does Enter Sandman, which they performed in their set, which was awesome, and Volbeat did Don't Tread on Me. Now, both of these tracks are also available on the Metallica Blacklist album, which is an album that features many different bands covering tracks off of Metallica's Black Album, and this 7-inch is only available on the tour, limited to 3,000 copies, but 115 copies are sold per show on a first-come, first-served basis. Now, I have a very interesting story to tell with this record, if you have the time to listen. So, my dad is in line to get merch, as am I, and he got a 7-inch for himself, and I intended on getting one for myself, but I guess there was some miscommunication, and my dad ended up getting 2. Now, granted, the first come, first served basis, someone at the Waterfront Music Pavilion wasn't doing their job, so we had 3 copies total, so I figured one for him, one for myself, and then I would just sit on the other one for a while, whether it's value's sake or if I end up wanting to sell it. So we get to our seats, and I'm looking at the 7-inch, and this woman behind me asked, where I got the 7-inch. And I said, at the merch booth on the other side where we came from. And she's like, my boyfriend's looking for a copy. I really hope he can get one. And I'm like, I hope so too. Needless to say, he comes back, and he's freaking out because they sold out. And, it must have went quick, because it was literally just, maybe a half hour from when I purchased mine to when I got to my seat. It was insane. And, basically, I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to flip it and be that person, so I just asked them if they had $15 cash, which was what they were selling this for, and needless to say, they got a copy of the single. So, did a good deed, and I felt pretty good about it. But anyways, here is the back side, and what's cool, because this was sealed when I purchased it, I did not know this until I opened it, it does come pressed on clear vinyl. So this is a very cool coveted collectible piece to have in my Ghost/Volbeat collection, because people are already trying to resell this on Discogs for $100, which is insane. So very happy to have this. And I bought this before the night of festivities even started, and just for the sake that it was available there, and I already kind of knew about them before having seen them, I picked up the 7-inch by Twin Temple. Now, Twin Temple was basically the opening act for the entire night. They only came out and did 4 songs. They are a satanic doo-wop band. That's right, satanic doo-wop. Very tongue-in-cheek. Yes, it is what they totally believe in and just what they are all about, but it was very entertaining, to say the least. They came out, they did a ritual before the show. It was quite entertaining. And this is their newest single called Let's Have a Satanic Orgy. Now, this is, as far as I know, made only available on the tour as well. There's a couple of different color variants out there that I think you just buy randomly, but features the English version on one side and then the Spanish version on the other. And coincidentally, the copy that I managed to get my hands on is on clear vinyl as well. So very cool to have this, to have a piece of Twin Temple vinyl to have in my collection, because prior to this show, I was made aware of them by my coworker Devin at the record store. She had mentioned basically what they were all about, and we had listened to some of their stuff in the store, and I was kind of intrigued with it, but seeing it, the way that it was presented with the, the theatrics and such, it was very entertaining. But overall, a very awesome night and a successful one in terms of getting some vinyl souvenirs. So there you guys go. That is my vinyl haul of all the records that I acquired within the month of February this year in 2022. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support this channel, be sure to check me out on Patreon. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.